Okay. How have things been? Or you can show your video, 2 or 3 or 4 people who want to show their faces. Is good. I like when few people show their face. That's okay. So how have things been, Bright? How have the first few lectures been? Good?
Yes, sir. It's been very, very interesting.
Excellent.
Some of us haven't been, it's been a long time we've been to the classroom. So it's been very, very
I
interesting.
see it on your face.
And it's very interesting to start with.
Good.
These were very good. The introduction was very nice, and it set us off on a good note, and I think we are ready for it.
Very good, very good. Yeah, it's going to end on a wonderful note. In fact, my class, you can't sleep. I'm telling you. I come with some intercontinental ballistic Kosovoic atomic bomb. You cannot doze, because as you are dozing, your computer will crash in front of you. Yes, it has happened before. And somebody says I was a witch. Okay, I was that. So don't you dare sleep, because what I'm about to give you is pure volcanic eruption. So I want to say a big welcome to all of you. Okay. Management science means something. Now, if you have a question, please raise your hand for me. Okay. And always ensure that you are muted. The moment your hand goes up, I'll call you. Okay. And once I call you and you're done, you lower your hand. Okay. Those are the advantages and disadvantages of Zoom. Okay. If there's a noise in your background, you always make sure that you're muted. Okay. So I have already given you access to my YouTube channel. Have you all, subscribed to the channel? Because I'll be uploading the videos there. I'll be doing some questions there. I'll be solving some questions and loading them there, and then you'll be notified and all. Have you guys done that? Let me see. Type in yes if you have done it. If you have subscribed to that channel, type in why. I want to see how many people have done that. I want letter Y. Don't worry if you haven't done it. But if you have done it, type letter Y. If you haven't done it after here, go and do it. Go and subscribe to the channel, and let me tell you why. Because it increases the publicity of my channel, and YouTube pays me some wonderful income. You know, that sort of thing. And when you watch the videos and you like it, okay, just show your like. You can even ask questions, and I'll come and reply them. If you check the video, you see that a lot of Indians, a lot of Americans, a lot of Europeans have been commenting, and I've answered all of them. So ask questions, answer them. So 29 of you have subscribed to the channel. Please subscribe to that channel. It will help you. And whenever you are driving, the way you would have listened to a radio in the car, don't. This time, connect to the channel, go to one of the lecture, and just don't watch it. Just listen like you're listening to the radio. I'm giving you the best advice to get A in this course. As you are driving, instead of listening to the Kwesi Bright and Kwesi Bako and all of those things, just listen to the channel and, let it sink in. You see, it might look like you are not listening. It might look like you are not learning, but you are learning. The brain will be taking the information, synthesize the information into a thesis, and then later on when you need it, it'll bring it to the fore. Okay. So do that. And then when I upload the things, you will also get notified in all of that. So for those of you who have subscribed to the channel, you can post it in the group page for others to know about it. If you have a phone, let me tell you the disadvantages of Zoom learning. People don't take books by them. You should have a book, you should have a pen. You should have a big book and a pen with you. This is a mathematical course. Even though I will make it very applied, okay, you cannot escape from the mathematics of the course. So have a pen and a paper with you. Each time I say it right, look, even if you don't understand, write it down. If you don't understand, write it down. Somewhere, are you with me? If you don't understand, you should do what? You should what?
Write it down.
Write it down. Please, I will implore you, write more down.
To write it down.
Yes, write more things down than you listen. Even if you have the slides, write it down. I beg you. Jessia, write it down. Anna, write it down. It will help you. It will help you. It will help you. Because according to research, only 10% of what I will say today is what you will hear. Only 10%. And so when you have written it down, now you turn the percentage, you will get 90% of what I will say. Write it down. And treat it like a serious thing. Turn off your phone. Don't let phones disturb you. Don't put it on silent. Put it away. Tell that man, please, enough is enough. Give me time to learn. I have some time to learn. Let me learn. Tell that woman, what did you mean? What did you mean? Okay, any disturbance in that environment, tell them that you are on a mission to a vision. Okay. Now, if you have a challenge from the onset, let me know. Let me know what is working for you, what's not working for you immediately. Okay? The course requires thinking. It's doable, but requires thinking. So you got to have an attentive and focused mind. That is how you excel in it. Okay? I have a surgical approach. If you don't understand anything, let me know. In fact, that is why I've created a WhatsApp group with you. You know, I'm one of the few people who have created a WhatsApp group personally with you there. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm there with you for a reason. I love what I do. I want you to do well. And so there, and there, let me know what's not working. If I want to even sense that something is not working, you even need somebody to guide you. I have people I can recommend for them to guide you. Just don't delay till last minute. Okay? Because it's going to pile up, not mine. As you combine the other courses, they're all going to pile up. They're going to pile up, they're going to pile up. And eventually, things become overwhelming to you. You don't want that to happen. And remember, just 2 years. And all of these persecutions will be over.
Hallelujah.
Everything will be done. And then you will have your certificate. And then eventually you will tell yourself, I did it hard. I did it hard. It was hard. It was difficult. It was tough. It was tornado. It was hurricane. It was flooding. It was earthquake. But I did it hard. And that is what we want to say.
I will get A by.
Yes, you will get A. By all means, there's no question if you focus your mind on it. So let's start. What is management science? Management science has another name, which is called operations research. Operations research is basically a mathematical approach to solving real-life problems. A quantitative approach to solving real-life problems. And there are so many real-life problems that you can easily handle with management science. In the process of solving the problem, you use something known as algorithms. What are they? An algorithm is a step-by-step procedural analysis. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure. It's a step-by-step procedure. That is an algorithm. And so what management science does is that it uses those computational algorithms to handle a problem that is complex, that is real. And in order to do that, it uses those mathematical and quantitative approaches. It started in the 1940s, after the World War. The British and the US government, after overcoming the war, decided that they will use those military strategies, no longer apply them in war, but they will now apply them in engineering. They will apply them in manufacturing. They will apply them in transport. They will apply them in health. They will apply them in business. They will apply them in marketing. They will apply them in finance. They will apply them in telecom. They will apply them in all the services industry. So management science gravitated more away from war into real life solutions. And that is why today in the business school, we call it management science. In the computer science, we call it data science. It is this whole ambit of management science. That is what we have, that whole story of artificial intelligence, robotic engineering, machine learning, neural networks, and all of those mambo jambos. However, There are several techniques in management science. Some of them we will learn. Some of them we will not learn. Some of them are beyond your level. Some of them are within your level. The common one that we are going to learn, we shall use about a month to learn that, is known as mathematical optimization or linear programming. We shall start that today. Another thing we are going to be learning is known as the deterministic. No, we will not learn deterministic inventory model. We will learn forecasting. It's another model we'll learn. We will learn queuing models. We will learn network models. We will learn decision analysis. We will not learn game theory, simulation, Markov chain, probabilistic models, but we'll learn probability. As we go, you will learn most of these things as well. Have I given you the course outline? I posted it on the page. Have you guys seen the course outline? Right.
Yes, please.
Okay, good. So you have a course
Yes.
outline. Now let me give you some of the questions that management science can help you to answer. And at this stage, remember, I'm going to throw in a lot of questions. Oh, by the way, just let me let you know, I give a lot of marks. 10% of your marks will come from your participation in this room. And at this stage, let me talk to the class. Classroom, are you here?
Yes, please.
Okay, so classroom, get a sheet of paper. And on that sheet, you have 3 rows, 3 columns. The first is called name. The second is ID column. And the last is marks. When anybody should answer a question, I will give 1 mark or 2 marks or 3 marks, depending on the value of the answer. And if somebody also asks an intelligent question, depending on the value of the intelligence of the question, I'll give marks. Please don't go and ask me what is management science. And so once the person asks the question, I will now give marks. When I say that, a person will approach you and then you will document the name, the ID, and the marks. Classroom, are you with me? Now,
Yes.
for those of you who, in order not to have any challenge in this, you have to use your full name in the chat. It's very important. You have to use the full name in the chat. Now that frank person, you see, you remember that I said that if you are talking and making noises, make sure that you are not with us. Normally it happens from those who don't listen. There are 2 things you can do here. You can hear or you can listen. Hearing is physiological. Listening is psychological. Listen to me. Do not hear from me. Okay. All right. So classroom, I hope you got that. So let's begin. Which bank is the best bank in Ghana, for example? Who can tell me? I don't know. I mean, which bank is the best bank? Some of your answers, you can type them there.
Zenith Bank.
And please don't ever answer into the air until I have called you. Okay, that will cause a lot of problem if everybody mentions the answer. Okay. Because sometimes I ask a question to be able to give marks. So if you answer and somebody listens to your answer, you can't say that, but I said it. Okay, Samuel, which bank is the best bank you think?
I think ABSA.
ABSA, okay. Now suppose that GCB wants to compete very well with ABSA. How can they do that? Management science can help you answer that. I'm just trying to tell you how practical management science is. Okay, how can managers of GCB decide in advance of the possible uncertainties that is about? See, right now, some people are determining the capability of another COVID-19 or COVID coming. You know, your ability to use probabilistic models to tell what's going to happen, management science can help you. How can you assign tasks, schedule tasks, and manage resources? How can you reduce queues in a bank? Management science, the topic called queuing model, can help you answer this question. Let me give you award-winning applications of management science. Management science is so powerful that it has won awards. the techniques have won awards. For example, there is a group of management science in American Airlines. Every year, this group will use forecasting, and we shall learn it. They use optimization, and we shall learn it. They use this to offer discounts, and sometimes they give full fares. They even use it to do price discrimination when it comes to the revenue management. And just because of this management science technique, the organization makes $1 billion incremental revenue every year. So it shows that if they have not been using the management science technique, they won't be making that kind of $1 billion every year. It's not possible. So management science is very, very important. If you go to the South African Defense Force, they use optimization, and they've used that to redesign the entire defense force and their weaponry system. In 1997, they saved $1.1 billion just using management science. So management science is very practical. But it's even more practical at your level. Okay, you, it's practical for you. Let's assume that you take an aeroplane. You want to take an aeroplane. And sometimes when you want to take a flight, say from Accra to London, what you do is that you search for the cheapest flight, isn't it? That's what we normally do. So you search for the cheapest flight. Now, one of the search engines you can use is known as Skyscanner. Somebody is disturbing again. Skyscanner. And when they use a Skyscanner, the Skyscanner will scan all the flights and find you the cheapest. Now, behind the scenes, an algorithm is doing the work. A management science algorithm is doing the work, is solving the problem, and will come out with the cheapest fare for you. Then, when you sit in the plane, another algorithm will schedule the flight cruise and the aircraft that was used by the airline. So when you go to the airport, all of these airlines are coming. An algorithm has indicated which one should take off, which one should land, and all of that. In fact, when I got to London a month ago, an algorithm has stopped. There was nobody to help me check in. Everything was automated. I move my suitcase there. There's nobody. I put a suitcase. It takes a picture of me. It scans everything. It tells me the kilos. Boom. Then I move. I put the thing into the carousel myself. It moves everything. Boom, boom. Nobody was there. I went to a shop. I think it's Sainsbury or Morrison's. There's nobody serving you. Machines are there. You take your item. You scan it. Bing, bing. You take another item, you scan it. Bing, bing. Okay. Management science is artificially intelligent, moving things forward. This is a powerful approach that the world is about to move. If you got in London, you will take a London cab. Now that London cab, a mathematical model is seeking to maximize the profit of the company. And they are using optimization for that. What am I saying? All I'm saying is that management science is around you. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. You will see management science around you. So from now on, now that you are learning management science, start looking around. You will see it around. So let's start with the first technique of management science. And before we do that, let's look at why models. Who can tell me what is a model? What is a model? Who can tell me? What is a model? A model. Raise your hand and tell me what is a model. If you Google it, don't talk. Okay. The worst thing you can do with me is you Google. Because once you mention the thing, I know it comes from Google. I know the lexicon because me myself, I'm a lexicographer. So don't go to Google for me. Use your mind and tell me. Who can raise a hand and tell me what a model is? What is a model? Sometimes if you were in a class, I would ask you that you should sit beside the right person. Because the kind of person you sit with will determine what kind of marks you get. Dorcas, you got to use your full name. Okay, Franklina.
Doc, please, a model is like a framework that helps us to study a certain subject area that we use to study the subject area.
Can be. Yes. You tried. You said something. Who else? Michael.
Okay, so I want to explain it in my field. So I'm an engineer, and so a water engineer. Now, we have something we call a hydraulic model. Now, what a hydraulic model is, or a model is that it's like a computer program, or yes, a computer program which kind of mimics what the actual situation is. And then we try to input in new information to see how it will behave when there are changes with the current situation, what is happening. So you're able to see in real life, for instance, if I increase something, what is the output I'm getting? Yes.
Good, good. I like what you said. I understand it fully. I don't think so. Most of them understand. When I looked at Philip's face, it was clear. It was so clear to me that not many of them understand. Well, that example is a very nice example. A model is a representation of reality. That's a model. A model. A model is a representation of reality. So if I look at your picture, you know that your picture you have on your phone? You can open your phone and I look at the picture on the phone. That picture is what, Jessica? That picture is what? You are muted. That picture is what?
A model, my like photocopy or a model.
It's your model. It's a model. You are the reality. The picture is a model. I can color that picture and make you look fair. Like up now. Sorry. Don't worry. I needed to turn on my lamps because the light was off.
Okay.
Okay. So let me reshare the screen and then are you guys there?
Yes, please.
Yes,
We are.
Yes, please.
We are here.
Okay, Samuel.
Yes, sir.
We are here, dog.
Yes, it was when you asked about what is a model that I wanted to earlier on talk, but it seems you gave an answer, so I'm okay.
Okay. So you're fine. Right.
Yes, please. So what I had in mind was a model is a tool used to make informed decisions for a good result. That was what I had in mind.
A model is a tool used to make informed decisions for a good result. Okay, good. All right. That's fine. Okay. So we can manipulate an aeroplane. We can create a model of an aeroplane and manipulate it. It will cost us less. We will also spend less time. So it's very good to manipulate a model than to do the actual. If you go and get an actual, suppose you want to show how a plane can actually blast. You can't use an actual plane. I can use a model of the plane and solve the problem. So we shall be using a lot of models. Just take note. And when you see them, just understand that it's going to help us to rather understand the reality. So the first technique of management science you are going to learn is called linear programming. Linear programming is like optimization. It is an optimization model. Okay. Now the word linear comes from which word? Who can raise a hand and tell me? The word linear, you can also type it there. The word linear, just Anna.
Horizontal or in a line form.
Why did you bring horizontal? So it's just a line. I think your colleagues have typed some of the things. Okay, linear comes from the word line. Line. What is a line? Who can tell me? I want to give 2 marks for that. What is a line? Classroom, get ready. What is a line? Right.
I think a line is something that is straight in nature, and that does not cross each other.
It can be. No. What is a line, Sylvia? What is a line, Sylvia?
Thank you very much, Prof. A line is something that follows a laid down procedure.
Okay. No. What is a line? Jennifer, not Dodo. What is a line?
A line is a joining of 2 points.
Correct. 2 marks. That's it. A line is the union of 2 points. Hey! Oh, Pele! You. So, Dodo has saved all of you. So this is a point, and this is another point. When you join the line, when you join the 2 points, you have a line. Now, who can tell me what is in between those 2 points? On the line, what is in between the 2 points? On the line, what is in between those 2 points? Lower your hand if that's not your question or answer. Daniel.
I can see many other points.
Correct.
2 points.
So there are several points. Daniel, that is 1 mark. There are several points in between the 2 points of the line. There are several points in there. Okay. Now, this is what you want to know. Linear programming usually uses a mathematical model in a line form to help the managers arrive at a conclusion of their situations. Okay. So you can solve a lot of problems in life using this technique. Media selection. Even the kind of stocks you got to invest in. Okay, please mute yourself for me, those of you who are. The kind of stocks you got to invest in. Okay, the kind of product you got to bring. You know, so many things you can use linear programming to handle them. Now, how do you now use the linear programming? The linear programming started somewhere in the war. Okay. 1939, it was pioneered by Kantorovich. It was not really seen until George Danzig popularized it. He was the one who wrote the book known as the simplest method. The simplest method is a technique we will use to solve linear programming problem. LPP is linear programming problem, and we shall use Danzig approach. It is the same simplest method that the software in Excel uses to solve linear programming. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Now, before you do linear programming, there are 3 things, 3 components you got to note. Please note them down, write all of them down, and write the explanation I'll give to them because they'll come back again and again and again. There are 3 components. What is a component? A component is a part of something. Okay? And so there are 3 parts of a linear programming problem. The first is known as the decision variable. What is a decision variable? Anytime you are dealing with a linear programming, you got to make a decision on what to produce. The decision variable are those items that have to be produced. Those items that have to be produced. That thing that must be brought forth. Those things that must be brought forth, or that must be brought to light. Those are the decision variables. Now, why are they called decision variables? Because you got to know how many of that you got to bring on board. They are decision variables because you got to know how many of that you got to bring on board. The most important aspect of linear programming problem is the decision variable. So I can give you a quick example. Let's say that you are the owner of Accra Sports Stadium, and a lot of people are coming to watch a match. You can categorize the price and the revenue you're going to get from the price by virtue of the stand. So you can get a popular stand. And that is, you got to know how many people are likely to be in the popular stand. That is a decision. You got to find out. How many people are going to be on the VIP? That is a decision. You got to find out. How many people are going to be on the presidential area? That is a decision. You got to find out. Okay. So the decision variable deals with that thing which is unknown. Note it. The unknown variable that you got to know. You see, the thing is that you know those variables are there. You just want to know how many of that is there. This point I just said is powerful. You know, you are certain of their presence, but you want to know how many of their presence is present. The next thing, once you know the decision variable, then you can know the objective. The objective is that goal that you want to maximize or minimize. The objective is that goal. The goal you want to maximize or minimize. So I'm going to mention some things, some of the goals, and your job is to tell me whether you're going to maximize these goals or you're going to minimize them. Okay, so please get ready. 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. You fail -1 mark, so that you don't guess. So let's take one, cost. Do you maximize or minimize? Raise your hand and tell me. And again, you lose, you get -1. Cost. Do you maximize or minimize? Godwin.
Minimize cost.
You minimize. You minimize.
Who is talking? Who is Godwin? The one who is talking, are you Godwin Dogbe?
Yes, I'm Godwin Dogbe. You minimize cost.
I'm also Godwin Odwe.
Okay. Sorry, Godwin Dogbe. I'm talking about Godwin Dogbe. So Godwin Dogbe.
I'm also Godwin. Sir. I'm the first Godwin.
Because there's a beautiful marks attached to it now. So Godwin Dogbe, that is what? Is it minimize or maximize?
You minimize cost.
You minimize cost. That's 1 mark. Okay. Now let's go to profit. Do you maximize or minimize? Okay, I'll make this one easier for you. As for profit, you maximize. You maximize. I don't want to holler. Okay. I don't want easy peasy things. Okay. You know, some people, they are not going to talk ever, except these ones. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Audience. Do you maximize or minimize? Raise your hand and tell me. Audience. Do you maximize or minimize? David Intikuni. Audience. Do you maximize or minimize? Miriam
maximize.
Sorry?
We maximize.
You maximize. Very good. That is 1. Now, spectators in a stadium. Do you maximize or minimize? Spectators in a stadium. Do you maximize or minimize? Priscilla Gambra.
You maximize.
Very good. Very good. COVID-19 pandemic. Do you maximize or minimize? Matilda Joa.
You minimize.
Good. 1.
Because you're not expecting it.
Don't worry. We don't want an explanation. Now, return on investment. Do you maximize or minimize? Kingsley Nkrumah.
Maximize.
Maximize. Kingsley, that's correct. Okay. So guys, you got to know these things. I'm giving you these things because these are the very things that you get in an exam. Okay, so that is called objective. The last thing in the linear programming is called constraints. Constraints. Constraints are those factors that limit the production of the decision variables. Constraints are those factors that will limit the production of the decision variables. Those factors that will limit the production of the decision variables. Okay? So some of them are time. They are limited by time. For example, if you go to a work every day, you are limited to working for only 8 hours a day. So time is a resource. The constraints, you also have labor, you have material, you have money. For example, if you are building houses, and there are 3 kinds of houses, okay? So maybe the first house is apartments. The second houses are not houses, not actually apartments. And the third ones are saying warehouses. These are 3 different kinds of houses. They become 3 different decision variables. The materials for building the houses, color for the paint, bricks, cement, sand, water, electricals, and those things. So those become the materials. And so those things, you got to know how much of each one is needed. Please know there are 2 kinds of constraints in the linear programming. The first is known as the resource constraint. The first constraint is known as the resource constraint. The second constraint is known as the mix constraint. Resource constraint and then mix constraint. We'll talk about them as we keep going. Now, in order to understand linear programming, what I'm about to do is to give you a simple story, okay? I'm going to give you a simple story, and I want you all to please understand a simple story. If you can only understand this simple story today, I guarantee you, your foundation is 15 floors of the Burj Khalifa. If you can understand the story I'm about to give you, and you can understand the linear programming, your foundation is 15 floors of the Burj Khalifa. But before we do that, before we look at the story which is on your screen, I want you to remember the good old days of Akiola. You remember Akiola? Akiola Coleman's book. Please.
Yes, we remember.
Once we are done today, call your brother or your little sister you have been beaten, or your child you have been beaten. Tell the guy that I'm sorry for all the beatings I've given you. Please, I need you to teach me something from your Akiola. Learn the topic on equations. Learn the topic on inequalities. Learn the topic on simultaneous equations. And then learn the topic on simultaneous equation word problem. That one, the word problem one, that one is tougher than I can imagine. We used not to like it at all. You remember those ones? Kofi is 5 years, 10 years from today. His father is 30 years, 10 years from today. If Kofi was 17 years, when his father was 4 years, how old would his Kofi be if his father is 7 years? You know those kind of things. Welcome again to it. Welcome. Nobody forced you to do the masters. You came in out of your own volition and made your own payment. You have a right to continue or discontinue. Because Akiola is waiting for you. Akiola is waiting for you. You have to go get that Akiola and solve all the 60 questions. Let me show you my Akiola. I'll make myself. I've given it out. I used to have it.
And look, it's in your office.
No, it's here, it's here. It's here, pa, is it? This is Akiola series. Guys, you see how even your professor has Akiola. And you are complaining that you won't have. You have to go and get it and beg them. It looks like I'm making campaign for this man, and this man has to pay me royalties. So this is it. IQLA series. This is a call math. Okay. Open to equation. You see how big it is. And then solve all the questions on equations and simultaneous equations, and then simultaneous equations, word problem. Go do it. 80% will do, 20% will not do. And the answer to that is here. I know that some of you will not do. And the reason why some of you will not do is here. This is it. This book will tell you that 80% of you will do what I just said. And with those 80% of you will not do. Only 20% will do. Those 20% are looking at me. The 80% are also looking at me. So that is it. Now let's start with the Farm Milk Ghana Limited. So who can do the reading for us? Okay. Who can do the reading for us?
I'll do it.
There's no marks for it, though. I just wanted to. So Samuel, you want to go ahead and read for us.
Okay. Farm Milk Ghana Limited produces
no, Samuel, wait.
And fine.
Don't read it like the news reader reads it. Read it whilst you yourself you are thinking about it. We are not reading. We are meditatively reading. So put in emphasis, and then you got to think through whilst you are reading. Let's go.
Farm Milk Ghana Limited produces fine yogo and fine choco. Some Ghanaians love this. I don't know about you. The two key resources used by the company are milk and skilled labor. Given the limited resources, the company desires to know how many sachets of fine yogo and fine choco to produce each day in order to maximize profits. There are 40 hours of labor and 120 gallons of milk available each day for production. Fine yogo requires 1 hour of labor time, and fine choco requires 2 hours. Also, fine yogo requires 4 gallons of milk, whilst fine choco requires 3 gallons. The profit from a sachet of fine yogo is 40 per unit, and from fine choco is 50 Ghana per unit. Formulate a linear programming model for this product mix problem and solve using graphical analysis.
Excellent. Very good.
Thank you.
Well done. Did you say thank you?
Yes, I did.
That's good. That's a proper news reader. Excellent. Very good, very good, very good. I appreciate the reading. I like the pace at which you read it. You made people think. Okay. Some people read like that. Now, in an exam situation, you got to read and think. So this was good. So the first thing you got to ask yourself, and you will also always be asked, is identify. That's the first thing you want to note down, because that's what we are going to do. Identify the decision variables in this product mix problem. Identify the decision variables in this product mix problem. Now I'm going to ask one of you to identify that. And in an identifying of that, I want you to also mention the unit of measurement, the unit in which those decision variables that you have identified are in. So who can raise a hand and tell me the decision variables. What are the decision variables? And why do you say they are the decision variables? I am more interested in why you think they are the decision variables than you telling me they are the decision variables. So let's go to Michael Boateng.
All right, sir. I think that the decision variable for this problem is the sachets of fan yogo and sachets of fan choco they have to put. The reason I think so is that it's the thing they want to happen. So they are torn between selecting whether to produce fan yogo or fan choco.
Your reason is wrong. Your answer is correct, but your reason is wrong. They are not torn between whether to produce fan yogo or fan choco. So
let me come again.
No,
I think
don't
I
come
had
again.
it wrong.
Don't come again. I want someone else to come, but you have gotten your. I like the way you mentioned the sachets of fan yogo and then sachets of fan choco. So that one is correct. So I'm giving you 1 mark for that. Who can tell me why those are the decision variables? Why? Miriam Anderson. Miriam Anderson.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Because they are the main things that things that you need to identify to help you solve or bring out the total number of units that you can produce.
I'm confused. Say that again. I'm only asking you to say that again because I see you yourself, you are confused. It's not only me.
So I feel from what you said, they are the key things that you need to identify. They are the resources that the total output that you need to identify to calculate the hours of productions and then the number of skilled laborers that you need. So that's what I understood from what he said.
Okay, so that is not correct. Let's go to another person. Why are these the decision variables? You see how many hands were up when you started? But they themselves have judged you. As if they know so well. But let's ask some of them. Let's ask Apia.
Okay, so the decision variables are what he said earlier, the number of
that one we know. That one we know. Why are they the decision variables?
You said earlier that the decision variables are those items that have to be produced, like they are the unknown variables that has to be known. So we don't know it yet. We don't
know what yet.
The number of fan yogo and fan choco we can produce yet.
Good. I like that word you use. But what do we know? If you can tell me that, I'll give you 2 marks. What do we know?
We know
we don't know the number of fan yogo and fan choco to produce. But what do we know?
We know the hours of labor.
No. You're going to the different thing. Okay. Now that second part of the question I asked is tough. Okay, but that's okay. You've tried. It's okay. Go and drink water. You got 1 mark. Okay, take it from Teresa. Who can tell me what do we know? Okay. And by the way, when you are telling me what do we know what we don't know, because you're going to repeat that. So what do we know? What do we know? Okay, lower your hand. Okay, let's go to Isaac Amankwa. Isaac Amankwa, is he there? Okay. And let's do also.
Doc, we know the items to produce.
What are they?
These are fan choco and fan yogo.
What don't we know?
We don't know the quantity of fan choco and fan yogo to produce.
Thank you. That's the guy you got to associate it with. These are the people you should befriend. Get to know them. Get to know people like that. And as a duo, he is the man. He is the man. Edu, you are the man. Say, I'm the man.
Sir, I'm the man, sir. 10 marks for me.
You're the man. You're the man. Okay. People like this, you got to befriend them. You got to buy them goods. Tap into their knowledge. Because wisdom is the ability to see what is obvious when it's a secret. It was a secret to some of you. He has unveiled it by virtue of his knowledge. You got 2 marks, Ernest. Okay. We know that we got to produce the sachets of fine yogurt and fine chocolate. We know that. What we don't know is the number or the quantity of what we are, we are going to produce. That's what we don't know. Get it right, guys. Get it right. If you don't know what we said, write it down. Write it down. Write it down. Some people are beginning to think that we are talking Hebrew already. They don't get it. I see it. It's coming gradually. Somebody says, I am. So you got to understand the decision variable here is the sachets of fine yogurt and sachets of fine chocolate. We don't know their quantities. We don't know their numbers. That's what we got to know. But we are certain we are going to produce them, but we just don't know their numbers. Okay. Now, let's go to the next one. So how do you represent the decision variable? You always have to use the letters to represent them. Okay. You have to use the letters to represent the decision variables. How do you do that? So in linear programming, you always have to write some letters like this. You have to say let, and you should always write it like that. X1 be equal to, and then let X2 be equal to. So now, and this is what I always ask you. Okay, when I say identify the decision variables, this is what you do. So X1 here is going to be the number of sachets. We're going very slow today because it's our first time. The number of sachets of fine yogurt to produce. Okay. The number of sachets of fine yogurt to produce. And then X2 is the number of sachets of fine chocolate to produce. You got to write this in English. You got to write this in English. Remember, the unit of measurement is there. Without the unit of measurement, everything is wrong. Also note that we are doing a simple form of linear programming. And so the decision variables are just 2. Why? Because if you can remember, the question says we are going to draw. And because we are going to draw, it requires that we have only X and Y axis on a Cartesian plane. Okay. But if we have more than 2 variables, then we are no longer just going to draw on a 2 variable case, but now on a 3 variable case, in which case we are talking about a surface. And that becomes plenty. But in real life and in your exams too, you will always get more than even 5 variables. So you should take note of that. Okay. Now, that is how you do the first step. So the first step in the formulation of a linear programming is to identify the decision variable. We just did that. Who is not clear with that? This is the foundation of your Burj Khalifa. If your foundation is shaky, this is the time you say that, look, I am seeing stars, so that we address them before we go to the first layer. Because the foundation is very important. All right. The next step in the linear programming process is to formulate the objective function. That's a step 2. Formulate the objective function. Formulate the objective function. The objective function is known also as the Z function. The Z function. And so in this case, we are going to refer to it as Z. Z. So the objective function is the Z function. I'm going to use a letter Z here for it. Now, this Z doesn't mean anything, but it means the objective. Who can tell me the objective here? Who can raise a hand and tell me the objective? Right. What is objective? Evelyn Anokare.
Thank you, sir. The objective is the profit.
Good. Now, still on you, Evelyn. What are we doing to the objective?
We want to maximize the profits.
Excellent. 2 marks. Okay. So the objective, ladies and gentlemen, is the profit, and we are maximizing it. So when you write the Z, you put a subscript called max under it. Okay. And then that reflects the objective. So that shows that that Z function, you are maximizing it. And that makes it a profit. And that, of course, will be equal to something. According to the story, this profit is made up of some things. Who can tell me what is made up of? According to the story, the profit is made up of some things. It's made up of what things? The profit comes from what? Who can raise a hand and tell us? It comes from what? This is where knowledge is coming. Please focus. Today is your most focused day. Okay? Today is your most focused day. Daniel, tell us. Achampo.
I think it comes from a combination of labor and raw material, which in this case will be milk.
Labor and milk. No. The objective comes from what? Who can tell me? Akosia Dansoa.
The factors of production, which includes the time.
No, Akosia, that's the same thing he said. It comes from what, Michael Watson?
The objective function comes from the profits from Fan Yogo and the profits from Fan Choco.
Excellent. That's 2 marks. Okay. It comes from the profit from Fan Yogo and the profit from Fan Choco. Wonderful. Okay. Now, still on you. So now that I want to know the total of the profit function, how would I write it then? Still on you. How will I write it?
So the total of the profit function will be, since the profit from 1 unit of Fan Yogo is 40, will be 40 of the number of sachets of Fan Yogo they'll sell, that we say is X1, plus 50 of the what we represent with Fan Choco, that's X2.
Excellent. Very beautiful. You have another 1 mark there. That is 3. Excellent. So the objective function is the 40x1 plus the 50x2. X2. And that is because there are 2 variables. Of course, there could have been 3 or 4. We could have had Fan Ice. We could have had Fandango. We could have had Tampico. No. But we just want to limit ourselves in this case to this level. Okay. Now, who is not clear here? Because I'm going to ask some questions on the objective function you just wrote. I'm going to ask some questions about objective function. So who is not clear here? All right. So guys, I want you to tell me the difference between the 40 as well as the 40x1. Who can tell me the difference between the 40 and that of the 40x1? They are different. What is the difference? Miriam.
40 is the profit per unit, and the 40x1 is the profit for the total number of units sold. So 40x1 will be the total number of, with x1 being the sachets of Fan Yogurt sold, the 40x1 will be the profit times the quantity of fan yogo sold.
You have still not spoken clearly. What is the difference? It started so well.
40, I believe, is per the unit. The 40 cedis is the profit made per each fan yogo product. But the 40x1, when the x1 comes in, it becomes a total profit made on all the units produced.
Good. I don't hear the word total. Okay. So that is very good. That is 2 marks for that. Guys, write it down. The 40 is the profit from one fan yogo. The 40x1 is the profit from all the fan yogo. That's the difference. If I ask you to tell me what is the difference between the 50 and the 50x2, I'm sure you can tell me the same thing. The 50 is profit from just one fan choco. The 50x2 is the profit from all the fan choco. Therefore, the 40x1 plus the 50x2, all of that is the profit within the company. Is the profit of the Farmer Ghana Limited. So you got a profit from fan choco, you got a profit from fan yogo, then you lump it together, and that gives you the overall profit of the company. This is a second step in the linear programming algorithm, the step by step. Now we go to the last step in the linear programming, and that is the formulation of the constraints. So the next one is formulate the constraints. Formulate the constraints. Now the constraint in reality comes from several things. Okay. So in formulating the constraint, there are a few things guys got to know. I'm giving you a step approach. The constraint requires, and by the way, I'm going to write this one here so that I'll clean this one. Zmax is equal to 40x1 plus 50x2. Okay. So I want to have that there, and then I will delete these ones so that I can use the down one here to write that of the constraint. So in writing the constraint, there are 3 things you got to know in the constraint section. The first is that you got to know what is called usage. You got to know usage. You got to know sign. And then you also have to know available. Write all of them down. Usage, sign, available. Anytime you're writing the constraint, this is the order in which you note them down. Now, the usage is also called the left-hand side. The left-hand side. Let me write it on the top. The usage is also called the left-hand side. And then the available is also called the right-hand side. Very good. The left-hand side and then the right-hand side. Now, we will look at the available first. Always, that is the easy part. From the story, ladies and gentlemen, from the story, open your eyes, from the story, we were told that how many resources are used to produce a fan yogo and fan choco. How many were the resources? Who can just tell me? Presla. Mention them.
The resources were 40 and then 120 gallons.
Okay, that's not correct. What were the resources used in this company? You can tell.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Don't worry. It's not guesses. I want someone else to give me. Otherwise, it becomes low. Okay, Michael Mohammed.
The resources are the hours, that the 2 hours. And then the labor as well.
Wrong. Who can tell me the resources in this organization? Roberta Nyako.
I think the labor time and then the gallons of milk.
Good. So the resources are 1, labor. That's the first resource, labor. The second resource is milk. So these are the 2 resources that were being used in this company. Okay, so now let's go to the first part, which is the available. So when it comes to labor down here, labor, who can tell me what quantity of labor was available? Because that was also from the story. What quantity of labor time was available, was at the disposal of the company? What labor? Michael Adaijumo.
40 hours a day.
Good, excellent. So labor that's 1 mark. 40 hours, and you always have to bring the unit, hours. So labor is 40 hours, so you write 40 hours. What about milk? What about milk? So 40 hours. What about milk? Margaret Angu. Margaret Angu. Margaret. Sandra.
Please, 120 gallons of milk.
Fantastic. That is 1 mark as well. So that is 120 gallons of milk. Okay. So now you have been able to fill in the available part. Now, how did they know this? Always watch. The word available is always used. That's a clue. It is a word available that will always guide you to know what is being used. If you don't know, that is it. Okay, how do we know that? Because when you go down here, the word available was used. Okay, that's a highlight. The word available was there. So it gives you a clue. So anytime you want to know what is on the available section, look for the word available. This is what some of you will write, others will not write, which guides in your mental process of learning. Okay. Now, we are done with the right-hand side. The next thing is to know what symbol to use. Now, there are 3 main symbols: less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and then equal to. Which of these symbols do you think it connects the usage and the available? The symbols. Which of them connects the usage and the available? Which of these 3 symbols? Of course, if you guess, I will ask you, why are you using that symbol? So before you guess, it's not lotto. Think about why you are choosing that symbol than the symbol. So let me go to those of you who have raised your hand confidently. Tell me, why are those symbols? Let me go to Frank.
Sir, please, is the less than or greater, less than equal to symbol?
Less than or equal to.
Because you cannot use more than what is available.
Very good. I like that answer. That is 2 marks. Okay. So it's less than or equal to, because you cannot use more than what is available for both cases. Now, so what does the symbol less than here mean? And what does the symbol equal to part here also mean? What do they mean? What does the symbol, because the symbol is less than or equal to. So what does the less than part of the symbol mean? And what does the equal to part of the symbol mean? Philip.
Yes, sir. So the less than or equal to symbol, what it means is that the value on the left-hand side of the equation is smaller or equal to the value on the right-hand side of the equation. It cannot exceed the value on the right-hand side. It's either smaller or equal to it. That's the value on the left-hand side.
So the less than part here means what?
So the less than part here means that the value is less than the value on the right-hand side. The value on the left-hand side is less than the value on the right-hand side.
What does that practically also mean? What does that, we've spoken about it mathematically, but what does that practically mean?
So it practically, the less than value. So what it practically means is that you can't have a value greater than the value on the right.
You are still using mathematics. What does that mean to management?
So what it means to management is...
It's okay, you've gotten 1 mark. So let me give it to someone to see whether the person will crack it. Hans, Katie.
So it means management are limited by the available resources. They cannot produce more than what's available.
Oh, no. Management are not producing the resources. Declare. Management are not the one producing the resources. So what does the less than part of the symbol mean in terms of Farm Ghana Limited here? Take any of the resources as an example and demonstrate that. Michael Watson.
Yes, I think that it means that in a day, they can use less than the 40 gallons, the 40 hours of labor they have, or in a day, they can use less than the 120 gallons of milk they have.
Okay, what does that mean? Without using the word less than ever in your language, what does that mean?
It means that they are producing under their capacity.
Good. Now you're thinking. I love that part. What does that mean? What does that mean that they are producing under their capacity? What does that mean? Still on you.
It means that they are inefficient.
No. Yeah. Wisdom is the ability to see what is obvious when it's a secret. The capacity of me to push your brain to the apex of the apogee is so void that even Osama bin Laden cannot affect it. What being by my being saying? Because I know that if I push your brain, you will think. Please remember, guys, I told you this. The brain doesn't like to think. That is why it thinks. That word you use finally is powerful. Say that again. That last sentence.
It means that they are being inefficient.
That is too much. They are being inefficient. That word is very powerful. So even though the resources are there, they are available, they are there, they are available, they are there. You got to work 8 hours a day. You are not working 8 hours a day. Then you come back and say that the company is not paying you much. Meanwhile, you are not spending the available 8 hours every day. You are putting away some resources. You come to work at 10 o'clock. And then you chat and reading the daily graphic. By 12 o'clock, you said it's break time. In the ministries, people are underutilizing their personal resources, their capacity to do more, to do within the stipulated time. They are not even doing it. Resources are being inefficiently utilized. And so that will reflect in the low profitability of the company later. So what the model is trying to say is that it is possible to get nyanga people in the company. That's what it means. You cannot get a perfect company where everybody is utilizing all the resources. Now watch, if they are efficient, what symbol will be here? If they are efficient, what symbol will be there? Who can tell me? If they are efficient, let me see by hand. If they are efficient, Anna.
Greater than or equal to.
No, that is not correct. What symbol will be there? Franklina.
Equal to.
It will be equal to. If they are efficient. Yeah, it means that whatever resources that was available have been fully utilized. These are the things you got to write down. Got to write down. These are my exam questions. I don't lie to you. Okay? So you got to not only understand the process of the formulation, but the intuition behind the formulation. Fantastic. So that was 2 marks, my good friend, who gave me that beautiful efficiency point. And the one who just mentioned, Franklin, who just mentioned the equality, you have 1 mark for that. So ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand the meaning of the equal to or not equal to, the less than or equal to symbol. It contains a lot of things. It shows simply that efficiency and inefficiency are all possible. That's what it means. Efficiency and inefficiency are all possible. Wastages are there, and not wasting the resources are also there. Now let's go to the usage. The usage will tell you exactly what was used. Okay, and now let's start with the labor part of the usage. This is the labor part of the usage. From the story, okay, how many hours of labor was used to produce fan yogo, and how many hours used to produce fan chocolate? How will you write it? Who can tell me? Who can show me how to write that? Who can show me how to write that? That is 2 marks for that. You can show me how to write how many hours of this one. Of course, when you show me, I'll ask you why. So don't copy and show me. Okay. How would you indicate the labor constraint? It is in the story, by the way. It's not even here, it's in the next page. Okay. Let's go to the next page. It's in the next page here. So who can tell me for the labor? Okay, so look here. You can see that 1 hour of labor time, which is here, was used for fan yogo. So for labor, you will write 1x1 because 1 hour was used for labor. And then watch the second one here. 2 hours here. 2 hours here was used for fan choco. So you do plus 2x2. That was used for fan choco. Who can tell me that of milk? For 1 mark. Who can tell me that of milk? For 1 mark. Kingsley Nkrumah.
With the milk, 4 gallons of milk was used for fan yogo. So it's going to be 4x1 plus 3 gallons was also used for fan choco. So it will be 3x2.
Good. That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's 1 mark for you. Okay. So you got 4x1 and 3x2. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the formulation of the linear programming. The constraints here are the labor constraints, the milk constraint, and there's one more constraint that you will not see in the story. You will see it in your mind. And you must always bring that constraint, even if you don't see it. Take note. You must always bring that constraint, even if you don't see it. And that constraint is called a non-negativity constraint. Take note. The non-negativity constraint. Non-negativity. Let me write it here. Non-negativity. The non-negativity constraint says this. Let me write it here. If I should always be at the bottom. X1, comma, X2, comma, X1, comma, greater or equal to 0. So what does this mean? This is a simple constraint I have written called non-negativity constraint. What does it mean? What is the intuition behind this constraint? Who can tell me? See, I always like to ask for the intuition. What does that mean? Robert Nyako.
It means that x1 or x2 should always be greater than 0.
Of course, I see that is what it says. What does that mean?
It means that it cannot be 0.
No, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. Isaac Amankwa.
Okay, Doc. It means that there can't be an incident where neither fan yogo or fan choco is produced.
Again.
It means that there cannot be an incident where neither fan yogo nor fan choco is produced.
Okay. Let me go to Maclina. Michael Ameuda. That's wrong, by the way. Michael Ameuda.
Yeah, it means that there is never an instance where there's no production of fan yogo or fan choco.
No, that's not true. What does this mean? Makusia Dansoa.
It means either fan yogo or fan choco must be greater than 0.
Don't use greater than symbol in your language. That. Don't use mathematical symbol in your language. I need interpretation. And those guys who said it wrongly, you just have to look at what they said. Because there was some statement they are making which is very wrong, even though they are using the sentences right. Mike Boateng.
All right, sir. I think it means that there can never be a negative production of the sachets of fan yogo or fan choco.
You have also made it very nicely by still using a bit of mathematics. So I'm still going to ask you, what then does it mean? Without bringing the word a negative, there can never be a negative production. What does it mean? Don't bring the word negative. There can never be a negative production. So what can there be? Tell me. What can there be?
So,
what can there be? The one who spoke is the one I want him to speak, unless he's bowed out.
All so right. Please, it means that. So
are you the one who was talking?
This is Nathaniel.
Are you the one who was talking? If you have the vein to talk, if you have the vein to talk, don't worry, I'll call you. All right, let me go to Brenda Jifa.
I think it means that production cannot be less than 0 or negative.
No, you guys have told me, have given me cannot be. And I'm asking, tell me what it can be, and you're telling me still what it cannot be. Let me go to another person, Yvette Laya.
Please, it means that there's always a production of fan yogo and fan choco.
No, that is also not true. I know what you guys are thinking. I know so well. Esther, or say it.
Please, it means there's always profit because there will always be production.
No. Debbie. Far from that. So lower your hands. Those of you who are spoken, lower your hands. Because your hands are plenty. I can't even sit up. Okay. Lower the hands. Those have called. Okay. Let me go to those I haven't called. Ni Adote.
Please, it means either we are producing some or we are not.
Again, the guy is closer.
It means it's either for the two commodities, either we are producing some of the quantities or we are not producing.
That word we are not producing represent what?
It represents 0 quantities of the product.
Excellent. Oh, mommy, there is always some wise man. Sagacity is not equal to intelligence. The same way as taciturnity does not connote imbecility. Write it down. Oh, mommy, if you push the brain, it will think. If you push, it will think. If you push, it will think. The fact that you don't eat gari doesn't mean everybody doesn't eat gari. The fact that you don't understand doesn't mean nobody understands. Somebody is here, understand. We got to crack the code. You are either all in or you are all out. Oh man, you guys need mentorship. Wow. You see, this is why some people give up. They give up. You see the word 0. You tell me that it means that there can never be a negative production. So what can there be? There can be a 0 production, or there can be a positive production. Isn't it? So the company can produce nothing, or the company can produce something. Ooh. Write it down. Who gave me the answer? That is 3 marks for you. Answers like this require higher value.
It's ni adote.
Ni adote or body diampa. What being say my being rough. Okay.
My being rough.
Yes, that's it. What being rough? People like you are rare gems. They are sapphire gems. They are emerald gems. They are ruby gems. They are diamond. People like him, near the befriend him. Get his number. Because what is inside his coconut is different from what is inside your coconut. So call him. Call him and tell him, say, I don't think I'm dying. Thursday, I'm dying. I can't see the red from the blue. So that he can help you, because that answer come from not just being intelligent, it comes from wisdom. Wisdom. So the equal to part of the greater than means that you can produce nothing. The greater than part means you can produce something. But it cannot be that you cannot produce. It doesn't mean, it means that you cannot produce anything negative. And you can produce, you can choose to produce. You can go into business and do nothing. There are some companies, the first year, they do nothing. What a beauty. Ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, let me show you the entire linear programming problem, the complete formulation of the linear programming problem. This is all here. Everything I've done, by the way, is in the slides. If you check the slides, you will see all of that. At this stage, let's see the complete, everything that we've done. This is a complete model. That's what you see on your screen. So we are maximizing the profit of Farmer Ghana Limited. We come from the sachet of Fine Yogurt and Choco, okay, where you are maximizing the 40, of Fine Yogurt and the 50 of the Choco, subject to a labor and capital constraint, where you are using 1 unit of labor hours to produce Fine Yogurt, 2 units of labor hours to produce Fine Choco, under the circumstances that you have only 40 hours of labor available. And that inefficiency and efficiency are both possible. And finally, you have the non-negativity constraint in concept. All right, Miriam, do you have a question? Isaac, do you have a question?
No, sir, it was a mistake.
All right.
Doc, I have a question. The dimensional analysis is not jiving for me, so I need some clarity. We said that X1 is the number of sachets of Fine Yogurt. Now, my question is, I'm curious, why are we now using the hours? You see, it says 1 hour, and we are representing by 1x1.
So 1x1 that we have here is a labor. Everything here you see on the equation 2 is labor. So what it is saying is that before we can produce the X1, remember, we don't know the X1. We don't know the number of sachets of Fine Yogurt in this company. We know we're going to produce Fine Yogurt, but we don't know how many. That's why it is X1. But what we know is that every week we use 1 hour of labor time to produce this Fine Yogurt. We know that. We know that every week we are going to use 1. So that is what this one is representing, that we are going to use 1 hour to produce the Fine Yogurt. Even though currently we don't know the Fine Yogurt, but we know that, I mean, sometimes, come on, we know it in a company, that we want to employ a guy. We need an IT specialist in our company. Now you're doing an interview. There are 14 IT specialists. We need only 1 guy. Okay? Or sometimes you don't even know how many of them you need. It's based on the interview. For example, if it is a university, the university will say that we don't know how many people we want to bring to do their masters. But based on the interview, we will know whether we will take all of them or we'll take some of them. So we don't know. But what we know is that we are not going to spend any more than 1 hour during the interview for each person we're going to do. You get a point? And that is what the 1x1 is saying. So 1x1 is saying for the number, we don't know how many of students we are admitting, but we are not going to spend more than 5 hours for the whole interview. That one, we control that, we know. Do you get it? That's it. And that is what this one is trying to show. Okay. Any other? Okay. So this is a linear program. Now, how to solve it, we shall do it next time we meet. So next time we are going to solve the linear program. We are going to do the graphical approach to solving. Go and watch the video. The video is all on my YouTube channel. Go away. There are 2 videos on my YouTube channel. And I will also add this one there for you so that you have 2 or 3 or 4 YouTube on the same topic. So go and watch it before you come. How do we find the X1? Simultaneous equation will come in. So go and learn your Akiola. How do we find the X2? Simultaneous equation will guide you. How do we draw the equation of a line? When you read Akiola, you will learn how to draw the equation of a line. All right. Any other question again? Any other question? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the entire Kabula. Remember that you are on a mission to a vision. The moment you sense that this thing, you will need a sit down, always remember that you will let me know. Sometimes you got to let me know quickly, because I know some great people, who are good and they can help you quickly from the onset, so that you don't even delay and wait till things pile up before you now get confused. So if you encounter that, fine, no problem, you can let me know and I'll connect you with some people to guide you in the process. Other than that, watch the videos, watch the videos, watch the videos, watch the videos. Okay. Have time to participate in your own rescue. Someone,